What's up, everybody? It's your favorite hood healer. It's your favorite hood high priestess. It's your favorite motivational dominatrix. It's your favorite auntie, captain, goddess, king. LadySpeech in the place to be, and I want to welcome you back to this here channel. You could be anywhere in the world. As a matter of fact, you are somewhere in the world, and you are also choosing to share just a bit of time and just a bit of space with me. So thank you, thank you, thank you. If you like what I'm doing, if you like what you see, if you're feeling this, if you're feeling me, then make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. And make sure you hit that notifications bell so you can keep up with all my goings-ons and my happenings and things. I'm here for you, baby. Anytime you press play, anytime you press replay. Now, let's get into today's video, shall we? As you can see from the title, I am back with another Adventures in Being a Recovering Jehovah Witness. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. If you've been watching this channel, you know that I have a series that I started since the beginning of this channel where I have basically break down what it's like to be a recovering Jehovah Witness. So far, the angle that I'm taking on this channel is kind of responding in regards to holidays, what my reaction is to those holidays, being an ex-recovering Jehovah Witness, what we used to do, breaking down the practices that I grew up in and kind of my transition, what I kind of thought about those, holidays or events during that time. So that's how I've, kind of broken down my experience and framed my experience of being an ex-recovering Jehovah Witness. Today, however, we're going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to speak about one of the things that I absolutely hated about being one of Jehovah Witnesses. And this video was inspired because a friend of mine recently had a very invasive engagement with being one of Jehovah Witnesses, and it brought back all the memories of me being on the other side of that and how much I hated that experience. So that's what we're gonna do today. And I realized that it's been a minute since I actually hit you guys off with one of these. So I'm excited to just share my thoughts and feelings and all that good stuff. If you are a recovering Jehovah Witness, let me know in the comments and let me know what you think about what I'm about to say, what I'm about to break down, if you felt similarly at all. If you aren't a Jehovah Witness but you've experienced the invasive tactics of Jehovah Witnesses in order to convert you, put that in the comments as well. Comments, baby. Let's all just go ahead and catch a healing. Let's all go ahead and catch a healing. I know that I'm gonna catch a healing with today's video. I hope you can catch a healing with today's video if you are ex-recovering Jehovah Witness. And if you are not, I hope you might be able to gain some insight into what it's like for those folks who are kind of trapped in the closet of Jehovah Witness-dom. Now, let's break off into it. Let's just deep dive. Let's just deep dive, shall we? All right, y'all. So you probably already get the gist of what I'm about to say and what I'm about to talk about. But one of the things that I hated about being one of Jehovah's Witnesses is, and I didn't like a lot of it. I didn't like most of it. I couldn't stand most of it, but I could tolerate a fair amount of it. I absolutely, positively hated engaging in and going out in field service. Now, what was field service? I'm not sure if they still call it this. They probably do. They might not. It's been decades. It's been a long time since I've been a part of that space. But going out in field service back in the day was the act of going door to door, or we would call it that too, going door to door. And it's exactly what it sounds like, door to door. We would go knock on y'all's doors. One of the most popular things that a lot of comedians joke about in regards to Jehovah Witnesses is that aspect of it. Jehovah's Witnesses are known for knocking on your door. Excuse me, sir, ma'am, do you want to live in paradise on earth forever? That was like my favorite opening line when I was going on a field service. Hated it, hated it, hated it, hated it, hated it, hated it, hated it. Field service, preaching the word of God. You are taught as a Jehovah's Witness that you need to spread the word of God, that you need to make a joyful noise. You need to talk to people about the fact that they are whack and they are going to die and suffer forever, or not have this chance to be resurrected, and the only way is to come to the cult or the organization, excuse me. Hated it, 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 hated it. What did I hate about it? Everything. Let's talk about it. Let's unpack it. Let's deconstruct it. Okay, so what you saw in the outside world, or what you see, is a bunch of Jehovah's Witnesses knocking on your door at crazy hours of the day on Saturday, sometime probably more than likely really early. You trying to, you know, plant your, be in your garden, mow your lawn, eat your breakfast, be with your kids, watch your Saturday morning cartoons. You trying to do what you, ain't you trying to get some morning nookie. You trying to do what you need to do. You living your best life, you know what I'm saying? You trying to rest from a week of work, and here come the Jehovah's Witnesses knocking on your door saying, what's up, you know? I hated that part. I hated that we were invading someone's privacy. It always felt so weird going up to someone's space uninvited to tell them about the way that I interact with God. I always found that odd. I always found that odd. And you know, if you want to know the history of my history with being a Jehovah's Witness, you can go back into some of my archives on this channel and check it out, because I do speak a lot more in depth to my actual story with being a Jehovah's Witness. So if you want to know that, you can go back, because I'm not going to recover it all here. But I was born into it basically, and then I was away from it for a while, and then I came back to it, and then I walked away when I could. As soon as I could, I ran. But I hated it. When I came back to it, I absolutely hated it. I thought it was really invasive. I thought it wasn't cool. Of course, I didn't voice this because I couldn't voice this, and there's nothing that we could do about it. But I didn't want to. I myself wanted to sleep in. I had a full week of school. I actually, with my father, had a stressful life because there was a lot of abuse that was present, you know, there. I had lots of things I had to do. My weekends weren't just chilling. I had to pull weeds. I had to do housework. You know, I grew up in Colorado, but I came up in a southern household, so it was work. Childhood, there was some work associated. We had fun, but like, not really. I mean, I did have some fun. I'm not gonna say that I didn't have no fun, but like, it was a lot of freaking work, physical labor. It's a lot of work. And so I wanted to be in, you know, I didn't want to be in someone's house. I wanted to be watching TV. I wanted to rest. I wanted to play. I wanted to hurry up and get the work done, because I knew after I got done in field service, I needed to get in there and pull weeds. So I did not like that element of it. I didn't like being up so early, and I didn't like being in people's faces. It felt not cool. I didn't like, also I felt like it wasn't the safest too. I always felt like it wasn't really safe for us to be knocking on random people's doors, asking them what's up. Even though I never personally heard of a lot of incidents of people getting beat up or hurt. People did get verbally assaulted. That was a thing that happened. Every once in a while you'd hear someone getting bit by dogs. I was deathly afraid of dogs back then. I had a couple of bad experiences when I was really little. I was also really short and really small when I was little. So that element always was nerve-wracking for me and anxiety-inducing for me, going into yards where we might get bit. Don't know. That always was a crazy thing for me. Being spotted out by my friends. I didn't want to be spotted out by my friends in school. I didn't want to accidentally knock on one of their doors and be like, oh crap, now they're gonna know, even if they didn't know, or if they did know. I didn't want that. I hated that element of it. What people don't know from the outside looking in is that we are trained. A big part, one of the meetings in being Jehovah's Witness, I believe they call it the ministerial meeting, I believe. but it was one of the weekly, you go to several meetings a week during being a Jehovah's Witness. And one of the meetings, literally half of the meeting was dedicated to teaching you how to be out in field service. We would go over this book called The Reasoning Book, and it basically was a book that taught you how to get over people's rebuttals, and you can refute them, and how to answer, how to use the Bible to answer a lot of their questions, and to answer things that they were refuting and things of that nature. And then part of that meeting was we would have skits, we would have talks, and basically these talks were skits that people in the congregation came up with, that modeled how to spread the word of God to people, how to speak with your different scenarios, speaking with kids, speaking with co-workers, whatever. But we practiced. Hated that. Hated that. Hated the fact that we had to study. And I will say this, I hated the studying aspect of it. That's a lie for me to say I hated all of it, because I did take joy in the skit portion. I was a theater person. I love theater, I love dramatics, as you can tell. And so being on that part required that you were on stage and that people were looking at you. I liked that. I liked the fact that we were playing pretend, we were acting. So I did like that aspect of it, because it was like character, and like I could be dramatic and things of that nature. But that's literally the only aspect of that I liked at all. I hated it. After that, I hated every single part of it. I hated every single part of it. The saving grace, and I've spoken about this in other adventures in being recovering Jehovah's Witness, for my family, is that we weren't the best Jehovah's Witnesses. So there was moments and times and years where we were on it, and times we weren't. I remember marked times where we weren't up on going on a field service. As a Jehovah's Witness, you're required to go to meetings. I remember we had our main meeting on Sunday. That was about 2 hours. Then you had your Bible study, which was an hour usually during the beginning of the week. Then you usually had a day off, and then you had the ministerial meeting, where it was another 2-hour meeting in the evening. And then you needed to go out in field service. So basically, it was every other day you were at a meeting, you were attending to your Jehovah's Witness stuff, you were worshiping and things of that nature. And so there were stints where we weren't being really good Jehovah's Witnesses, and we didn't go. My dad wasn't a really good leader in that space. He took what he wanted, he did what he wanted. He wasn't the greatest, he wasn't the worst, but he wasn't the greatest. And my stepmom was, in that capacity, she was the spiritual head of the household, even though technically the dad and the man is. My stepmom was the one who stewarded a lot of that forward. And my grandmother too, because she was in the habit of it. But even with her, we didn't. So my saving grace is that I didn't have to do it all the time. Which also made me hate it that much more, because I had these moments when I had a break from it. So to this day, what it ended up doing is it makes me actually a really good salesperson, and I absolutely hate selling things. I took a couple of sales-based jobs when I was younger, and I was good at it. And there's a lot of people in MLMs are always want to approach me, like, you'd be so good. Like, I know, I could sell a lot. I can sell really good. I hate it. It brings up that exact memory. I hate pushing things on people. I hate asking for donations. The result of that for me is that I do have trauma around asking people for donations for good causes. If I'm working for an organization, if I've worked for an organization, I hate, even with myself, that really, and it took me years to make that connection. I hate asking for help for myself a lot due to being a Jehovah's Witness. There's other conditioning that is involved in that, but being invasive about religion, about something so intimate, makes me feel very weird about asking for help for my intimate self. Like, it played with my mind heavy. It played with my mind heavy. I hated it. I hated those invasive tactics. And like I said, even when I was younger, to me, I was like, I feel like this is a personal decision. Like, it made sense to me to share your beliefs about your God or your creator or your religion if you're in a safe space and if people want to hear about it. I thought that that's cool. I thought it's okay to talk about your stuff. It's okay to be proud of however you believe, but to walk into people's houses, to ask to be invited in their house to talk about this was a lot. To always asking people, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? How are you praying? To me, that it felt annoying. It felt, and I don't want you in my face. You know, there are definitely times when I want to talk about Creator, I want to talk about God, I want to talk about magic, but I want to do it when I want to do it. I want to do it on my terms. I want to do it when it naturally comes up. And I want to do it with people who we're going to be able to respect each other's differences and also be able to learn from each other, you know? So, yeah, I hated it. I hated it. That was field service. I hated it. Trust me. There's a lot of kids who are made to go out in field service that hate it. So have pity on the children the next time you have to deal with a Jehovah's Witness. The great thing is after I kind of moved out of my house, I don't really deal with that too much. You know, I haven't, on the flip side, I haven't had to be on the other side of that a lot. One of the reasons is I've lived in a lot of apartment buildings. So because I've lived in apartment buildings, and a lot of apartment buildings, they can't get in, or they have to make special arrangements in order to get in, and landlords say, no, you can't come in. And then the few times that when I have lived in I've lived in houses too, a fair amount. So when I've lived in those houses, it's happened a couple times. I'm thinking it's happened a couple times, but it doesn't happen a lot. You know, it happened a few more times back in the day. I used to love to mess with them. Part of what was really cathartic and a joy for me back in the day is if I could catch them, and I would try to be as offensive as possible to let them know not to come back here. And I wouldn't cuss them out or anything, but I would definitely open the door smelling like weed or rolling up or half naked. Like I wouldn't flash them and like show them my genitals or anything like that, but I'd be in a towel. I'd be definitely like, I would make this situation uncomfortable. Don't come back here. Or I immediately would open the door with my crystals and with some chanting music, and they'd be like, oh, hell no. So I didn't have, I didn't have too many interactions, as I got on my own. But the ones that I did, and I could get fast if I had things to scare them real quick, I would. That did kind of give me a little bit of a chuckle, and it did give me a little bit of a healing thing. Again, I didn't go so overboard, but I did make it very clear I ain't interested. And also, just like, I know all of their rebuttals, and so I could be like, I know what to say to shut it down. I know what to say to be like, do not come back here. I know how to act to get on the do not knock on this door list. But I haven't had to do that too much. So, thank the Lord. Thank the Lord. And that's that. I'm never ever having to knock on nobody's door again in order to convert them. Hello, goodbye. Listen, if you're listening to this and you're a recovering Jehovah's Witness, or you're thinking about leaving the cult, the organization of the Jehovah's Witnesses, let me tell you this. The opportunity for a satisfying, fulfilling, beautiful life is absolutely available to you. It's not easy. It's not easy. Recovering is not easy. And I always look at that time in my life. As you can say, I always refer to myself as a recovering ex-Jehovah's Witness. I'm always in recovery from that. There was a lot of spiritual abuse that happened up under being a Jehovah's Witness. And there was a lot of my own abuse that was condoned using the beliefs and the practices of being Jehovah's Witness. So I will deal with some of those effects for the rest of my life. And there's some things that I will revisit to heal and work on as those things come up in my life. But I don't regret 1 minute of walking away. I don't regret 1 minute of pledging my allegiance to the Creator and not to that religion. I am so grateful that I had the courage to pursue my spiritual path and purpose. I'm so grateful that I recognized early on that that wasn't for me and that that wasn't going to lead me to a fulfilling life. So if you are thinking about leaving, if you're contemplating leaving, know that a good life is possible. You do have to work for it, and you do have to heal. That's one of the things that I see a lot of, a lot of Jehovah Witnesses, ex-Jehovah Witnesses. There's some of us who understand that what we went through was a lot and it damaged us. And there's some of us who know it, but we don't do anything about it. And one of the keys to being a successful recovering ex-Jehovah Witness, in my opinion, is pursuing your healing, knowing that things happened. For some of us, a lot of us, things happened that shouldn't have happened. Some of us experience a lot of abuse, a lot of bad things, and you have to work with that. And even if none of that happened to you, you happen to escape abuse, you happen to escape the ugly side of that, it's still, being a Jehovah Witness does not prepare you for the world at all. It doesn't prepare you for the world at all. So healing from that and working with that is going to be important, and working with the effects of being in a religion, in a cult that weakens you in a lot of capacities. So, there is a brighter day. There's a brighter day waiting for you. If you come from, like I said, being a Jehovah Witness, let me know a couple of things that you didn't like about it. Let me know what your thoughts about this video. If you've never been a Jehovah Witness, but you've had interactions with Jehovah Witnesses that have been invasive, let me know that in the comments as well. Story time, folks. Let's all catch a healing. Let's all catch a healing. This is the video to vent about how they won't leave your ass alone. This is your video to vent, This is your video to vent. I thought I was done, but a thought came to me. A big part too, I gotta say this, a big part of why I didn't like field service, and I understand it a lot now. I remember I would have a very just strong dislike and reaction to go out in field service, and it came from a very deep place inside of me. And it wasn't until I really was getting into my history and understanding what the history was of some of my people, of some of the enslaved Africans that were taken, that were stolen, that were sold into bondage. When I began to understand that story, when I began to understand the story of colonialism and how much Christianity has been used, and other major religions have been used to, like Islam, like Judaism, have been used to slaughter and hurt people, it became clear that was also an ancestral reason why I hated going out in field service, because it reminded me of the colonizer. It reminded me of colonizer activities. The colonizer is the one that needed to violently spread their beliefs. Not everybody needed to believe, look, be the same as you. So not just with it's not only the things that I mentioned earlier in the video, but definitely that on a very spiritual and ancestral level. I hated going out in field service because somewhere in me, I was like, this feels wrong. And it feels wrong from a deep spiritual perspective. And in the end, when I began to get closer to my ancestors and engage in my ancestral practices, and also learn the history of how a lot of religion was pushed forward, it clicked. It just clicked. I was like, that's why I don't like that. Like, all of the indigenousness inside of me, all of my black indigenousness inside of me understands that that's wrong, and that too much of that breeds violence, So yeah, hated field service on all of the levels. The spiritual level, the emotional level, the physical level. I don't want to be outside walking for hours. That was the other thing. I do appreciate we did exercise. It did make your ass exercise. If you are engaging in field service on a regular basis, that means you gotta walk. You gotta walk door to door, or at the very least, you gotta stand at the bus stop and talk to the people who trying to get on the bus. I hated that too, because field service wasn't just knocking on people's doors. It was also standing at the bus stop and talking to people who are trying to go to work, trying to come home from work, trying to take their baby to the daycare, trying to do whatever it is that they're doing, but they weren't looking to talk to me about God. How you just gonna spring the heaviest conversation on people? Excuse me, ma'am. I know you were going to the store, but do you want to talk about Jesus? Like, no, I don't. I am thinking about eggs, milk, and butter. I'm thinking about popcorn and pork chops. I'm thinking about these diapers that I gotta get because my kid has 2 more left. I hated it. 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 So deeply, it was wrong. It was wrong. It was wrong. It was wrong. I hated it. I'm so happy we're not there anymore. I'm so happy I'm not there anymore. Thank you to all of my ancestors and my entire spiritual team. Thank you. I deeply bow. I'm gonna go make some extra offerings to them after this video, as a matter of fact, just to be like, my appreciation. You saved me. Well, let me know in the comments if you like this content. Making this content is very therapeutic for me. It is very cathartic for me. My soul and my spirit are uplifted every single time I get to express and make a video. And hopefully, I enjoyed the fact that this is a record, you know, leaving a record for anyone else who is looking to escape that world. And also a place to connect other people who have come from extreme situations like that, you know. Let this be an example that a good life can be had after all of that crazy and all of that trauma, okay? So yeah, thank you. If you made it to the end of this video, gold star for you. I appreciate you so very deeply and so very much. Thank you for your support. Thank you so much for tuning in. I love you. And you know the drill. If you're feeling this, if you're feeling me, if you like what I'm doing, if you like what you see, make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you rock that notifications bell. And that way I'm here for you anytime you press play. Anytime you press replay. Now, I'm gonna let you go. You have a good morning, a good mid-morning, a good afternoon, a good mid-afternoon, a good early evening, a good late evening, a good middle of the night, a good whenever you see this. Have a wonderful day, a wonderful week, a wonderful month, a wonderful year, and a wonderful life. And I'll see you in the next video. Peace, love, and hair grease.